welcome back everybody to a brand new year. We're very excited to have you all join us. My name is Colleen. I'm one of the hosts for Veterinary Tales, joined by the wonderful founder of Joey's Legacy, Mr. Scott Fine. And we will be going into even more stories this year to talk about the victims of those who suffer from the veterinary bad actors who would rather put their money, profession, whatever it may be, above the care of their patients. So happy new year. Scott, how are you doing today?
Happy new year. Colleen, doing well. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. It's a bit cold over here. I'm in Indiana, so I'm back on East Coast time.
Oh, you're in Indiana?
Yeah, visiting some family.
You just killed my next line. I was going to say you're in California, Brittany's in Wisconsin, and I'm in South Carolina. all we need is someone in Texas. We'll have all four sides covered, but okay. Well, that's cool. Hey, Brittany, how are you doing?
Good. It's -2.
Oh my goodness. No, thank you.
I want to hear that. All we can talk about here has been raining for hours and expect it to continue overnight. You know, I've gotten a lot of compliments about your commentary and in John's sizzle reel. You came off as very credible and very compelling, and that was a great way to start that off. So congratulations and thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you. It was very cathartic, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, good.
And just so I can give the formal introduction, we have a wonderful guest, Brittany Quaas, joining us today to tell us a little bit about Harper's Story. So Brittany, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Sorry, Colleen, I could just kind of jumped in there. I wasn't.
No, we're good.
We know her. I figure everybody else does anyway. So tell us Harper's story. Tell us how Harper came to live with you, the time you had together, and what happened that led to the tragic outcome.
Sure. I adopted her from the Humane Society. Trying to think how long it's been now. 2011, I think I adopted her from the Humane Society. She was my first cat when I moved out. And yeah, I just adopted her, and it was just me and her in the apartment for a while. And she was a huge support system. But anyways, in 2017, she basically got sick, and I took her to the vet, and they informed me that she had idiopathic chylothorax, which is very rare in cats. Long story short, that whole summer in 2017 was really bad for me. My best friend died unexpectedly that June. So I wasn't going to let anything else lose him in my life, so to speak. So I did whatever I could to save her. Traveled long hours to have her surgery done. She survived it. She was almost 100% back to normal. And yeah, but she was a huge strength in my life. And it's nice being able to openly say that to other people that agree with it and understand that, where, for a period of time after this happened, people are looking at me like I was crazy, like, really, it's just your, cat, and you're getting all upset over this for nothing, which obviously is not any of our cases. But yeah, she was around for a big part of my life when I was dealing with a lot of personal issues. And, you come home and Harper, Joey, that's your pet. They listen to you and they give you comfort that other humans can't. You can't really explain it. But yeah. So basically, after she survived the surgery, they ended up finding out she was diabetic in the midst of all of this. And I learned how to administer the insulin myself. And my husband and I needed to go away for like 2 days. So I boarded her with her vet. And they, okayed with me that they were going to be able to administer the insulin for those 2 days. And I never even thought to ask anything differently as far as, who will be doing it. I just assumed everything was, they know what they're doing, that she's in good hands. I'm going to leave her there. So I dropped her off on that Saturday. And we were going to come back on Monday to pick her up. And I wake up to a phone call at 8 a.m. from this vet saying they found her unresponsive in the cage, and that they were working on her CPR, and they wanted to know if they should transfer her to the nearest animal hospital. And I said, yeah, just do it. And we were 4 hours away driving back, trying to figure out what happened. So we get to the ER, and basically they're like, well, she was without oxygen. She was, it's a hyperglycemic or hypo. She was given too much insulin.
Hypo. Yeah.
Yep. And they're like, well, we don't know how long she's been without oxygen. They had the tube, she was intubated. And they said, basically, you have two options. We could put her to sleep now, or we could, move her to our sister hospital. And they had a certain piece of, equipment there that they could use to further the possibility of saving her. But right away, they wanted me to, get my credit card out, which at that point in time was maxed out due to all her other health issues that I had paid for like less than 2 months ago from her death, that, I spent this money on her. And I looked over, at my fiance at the time, and we were both crying, not knowing what to do. And we're like, well, I guess, we're just going to have to put her down, so put her to sleep, and left not knowing what happened basically that whole night. Next day, we proceeded to go to the vet to get answers, if you want to call it that. And of course, he wasn't in the office. Now, whether that was a coincidence, I don't know, or if it was planned. So basically, we were trying to get answers from the secretary, the vet techs there, not the actual, either one of the vets weren't there. And they're like, oh, well, you're going to have to come back. You're going to have to come back. So we left with an empty carrier, which I can't even describe how that feels like. And I had to ask for her insulin pen back because they weren't going to give it to me. And at that point in time, we realized that it was bone dry, the insulin pen, and it should not have been anywhere near that. Next day, we proceed to go in, sit down with her vet, and, oh, this is, terrible situation for all involved. My husband and I had questions. This pen's empty. What happened? Basically, don't know what to tell you. Here's our attorney phone number. Talk with him from this point out. Okay, so at that point in time, we left. I was, in debt. And shortly thereafter, I tried to find an attorney in Wisconsin. I did find one that was willing to take on the case. That went on pretty much for about 6 to 7 months. They chose not to proceed any further. The vet's insurance company came back with an offer, basically wanting to reimburse me that $3,500 that I paid for that day to try to save her, and another $75 to get a new kitten at the vet, basically. And I was like, nope, that's not going to happen. I sent them a letter saying I'm not going to accept this. At which point in time, then I proceeded. I already had involved the Wisconsin Veterinary Board. I filed a claim with them that January of 2018. It took over, I want to say, 1.5 years before they came back with their answer, which did nothing. And I can't even talk about it because there was a little part in this thing saying I can't discuss what the decision was. And I don't even know how they came to the decision. They just said. So yeah, here I am going on, well, it's 4 years now. I'm still looking for an attorney to at least guide me through the process of filing. Because at this point, my goal is, Joey's Legacy, the book, the interview I did, now I'm doing this interview. I'm going to file those court papers. I want to get the vet served, the vet tech served. They're going to be on the Wisconsin Circuit Court website. So their names are going to be out there. And then I'm going to go to the news and the newspapers and really hit it hard that way. Because I'm in this last year in hopes to at least go by and say, hey, I fight for property damage. That's all I have to fight for really in Wisconsin, in hopes of saying like, you leave your sports car at the garage that you spend all this money on. You hate to compare it that way, but if they want to discuss how things are property, it's no different than if I take my sports car to the, oil change people and they really screw it up. Oh, well, here's enough money just for a new stock car. No, that's not all that money I invested in her, I should get back, let alone the pain and suffering anyways you can't get, and here I sit now 4 years later.
So I have a question, Brittany.
Yep.
When you discovered that the insulin pen was empty, had she already passed?
Yes. Yeah, because I didn't get that pen back until the day after, and they had kept it with her other belongings at the original vet's office from where they ended up taking her across town.
Did they say anything about an overdose of insulin?
No, my husband and I had brought it up because we actually had done the math going backwards, how much should have been in there, how much we would have used, because evidently this kennel worker didn't know the difference between a milli-unit and a unit. So she got the whole dose and they found her cold, unresponsive. She had urinated herself and, they should have known that's what happened. Because they chose right away, they told me to administer the honey in her mouth. And that's a big red flag to them what happened.
Right. Yeah. They overdosed her.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. Yep. And I still have the pen in the fridge, this is going on 4 years later. And we, asked the vet, why is it like this? Oh, I don't know. He was passing the buck to the kennel worker, and if I knew a kennel worker was going to be doing this, I wouldn't have even left her there. I assumed at least the vet tech or the vet was going to be the ones doing this.
Right.
But here we are.
So it's been 4 years?
Yep, 4 years in October. So this last year, if I want to go for the property damage, that's 5 years within Wisconsin.
5 years, and that was going to be my next question.
Yep.
Okay, well, we've successfully argued some cases based on property tort loss, so I think you've got a decent chance.
So yeah, even if I know I'm not going to get my money back, and at this point I don't even care about that, even the money I used to save her from that, but yeah, an apology would have been nice. I said something about that in the John Biffar thing, but they couldn't even say sorry. Like that's what hurts. Everyone just wants to not acknowledge it.
When they say they're sorry, they think they're admitting liability.
Yep.
So a lot of them tend to not do that.
Yep. So I'm looking for an attorney yet, and you've been very helpful with that. And worst case scenario, I have some criminal justice background. I have filed some of my own court documents for other issues in my life. And I think I could get in there. Just once I don't know what to expect, and that's scary.
Do you have some time tomorrow that you're free?
Yeah. Yep. I think I can.
Okay. I'd like you to call me because there's been a few changes with our protocols, and I think I may be able to help you with some of those things.
Okay. Yes, that would be awesome.
You have the phone number. It's in the I think it's in the featured section. If not, I will I think we're on Messenger together, right?
Yes.
All right. I'll message it to you after the podcast.
Okay.
And just get anytime tomorrow, just give me a call. I think I might be able to help you a little bit.
Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure. Absolutely.
So they didn't say anything to you? Like no, like neither the kennel worker nor vet tech, like no one said any kind of apology or recognition of fault.
I want to say the first day when we came in there, the two women that were there knew, I'm assuming we were coming in. And those two ladies were you could tell that they were upset. But the vet, it was just more like, yeah, well, this is a bad situation for everybody. Shit happens, stuff happens, excuse my language, and
That's okay.
but Yeah, it just, the kennel worker got fired. That's what happened basically.
Did they
And
tell you? Did they tell you why the kennel worker
I'd have
got
to go
fired?
back and look. She didn't follow their,
Yeah,
they
nothing.
basically, yeah. And they
Nothing
basically
specific.
said, oh, well, since this happened, X, Y, and Z has changed in our office. And I'm
Oh,
thinking,
okay.
yeah, well,
Nice.
I would have hoped,
At a
but
great cost. At a great cost. Yes.
yep. So, but no, this whole experience, thank God, I don't even know how I found Joey's Legacy page. I was just looking for anything that happened, and between seeing other people's stories, me traveling to Atlanta to do that interview, I told myself that after she passed, that her death wouldn't be in vain.
Right.
And I want to say all of us probably have said that to ourselves one way
Definitely.
or another.
Definitely.
And I think hopefully, we're all getting to the place where we want to be with this, getting at least in the right direction. If we keep pushing, hopefully we'll get this stuff changed.
Well, since Joey's Legacy came into existence in 2017, those were the days when they would tell you that don't bother suing a vet. Your dog's only worth $100 in court. And we've kind of blown that out of the water in a big way over the last 4 years because no settlement has been $100.
Mm-hmm.
They've been substantially more than that. So we were just kind of sucked into the propaganda from those in the profession that wanted to keep us down, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But we're spreading our wings and we are going to fly higher than ever in 2022.
And even like, I want to go back to the whole, the vet board, when you send the complaints to them.
Yeah.
Ironically, this last summer, years have passed where I live now in northern Wisconsin. Coincidentally, we met some guy, total out of the blue. My husband was working for him. And it turns out that he had a relative on the vet board currently. My husband was just randomly talking about him with the cat. I don't even know how it came up. And he's like, and I think this gentleman was a vet too, but I think a relation of his was on the board as well. And my husband had spoken to him about what happened. And he's like, oh my God, that was terrible, blah, blah, blah. And, look, his family members on the board and, how different ideologies can be with that, how one, person thinks, well, no, that's terrible. But yet someone else on the board says no. And I don't even know how they voted. I have no idea how they came to their decision making. They just said, this is what we decided. And that's the end of it. Well, let me see transcripts or, minutes from your meetings. Nothing. I no idea what happened other than what they said, X, Y, and Z. But I don't know how they came to that. But it took over a year and a half. So I don't know what that means.
It means they're not in any great hurry to get any justice for any parents of companion animals, and they never will be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we have to figure out how to get into the House of Justice. Since they've got the front door barred,
Mm-hmm.
we have to go in through the back door, the side window, or some other way. But we've learned to get in, and we'll continue to find ways to get in. And their brotherhood is slowly disintegrating, very slowly. We get vets out there, ethical vets, that send their new clients to us who've had a bad experience with vet number one. And the vet number two tells the client, go to Joey's Legacy.
Wow.
They'll go after vet number one. So now you got vets throwing other vets under the bus, which works for me.
Yeah.
The more ethical vets that see what we're doing and join us, at least in ideology, if not actually join our team, the happier we're going to be, the more quickly things are going to change. And they've always been reluctant to do that all the years. They all wanted to stick together and not, but you want change, you got to have a spine and you got to have guts and you got to speak up and you deal with whatever you deal with.
And the worst part has been, this last 4 years having to keep my mouth shut, because I see people first Facebook, on local pages. Hey, I just moved to the area. can anybody recommend a vet? Oh, so-and-so is really good. And it's just like, I can't say anything because I don't want in fear of them, retaliating against me. That's why I really need to get this out there and let the media decide on this. But yeah, here we are.
Yeah. So you've just been obviously living with it, trying to seek justice. And I'm glad to hear Wisconsin is 5 years for property claims. That's great. Some states are 2 years, like they are for veterinary malpractice. I think New Jersey is 6 years, if I'm not mistaken. I actually think one state is 10 years. I can't remember which one, but most are, 2 to 5, 6 years in there, which is great. It gives us another opportunity to pursue the bad vets if the 2-year statute of limitations expired on veterinary malpractice. So, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just in fear that when I do file, the judge or the commissioner, whoever it's going to be, they're going to be like, well, what took you so long? And it's just like mentally, even this has taken a lot for me to work up to,
Well, this is a legitimate explanation. I mean, you're not making it up.
No,
People are devastated for years. It's over 4 years for me. I don't feel like I'm much better than day one. And I expect it to continue. And most of us, I think, feel that way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something you got to live with. And a lot of people don't understand. And they give you the, crazy eye, like, get over it. It's like, well, it's bad enough when your pet dies naturally, or you have to put them to sleep because they're getting elderly, let alone being ripped away from you by negligence.
Right. Yeah. When you add a level of malpractice, anger, rage, the feeling for retaliation, for being lied to, if the vet wasn't truthful with you about what happened. So, there's all kinds of extras, so to speak, that tack on to just the expected devastation and despair when you lose a companion animal, as you say, due to natural causes or injury. So, yeah, it's definitely. Go ahead, Colleen, you got something to say?
Yeah, I'm curious. I was talking with our board and I was curious because a lot of people don't even realize that malpractice occurred. And so how did you thought something was wrong, and obviously, the records showed that there obviously was something going on. How did you know what to do next? Like how did you pursue the after? What were some of the things that you can maybe offer up as resources or tips for somebody who might be going through that?
Sure. I guess the first thing I did is I went to Google, and I was Googling, Wisconsin, vet malpractice. And then, stories started to pop up from, the dog groomers at Petco and PetSmart, those types of injuries. But I couldn't really find anything similar to my case, Harper's case. So then I just kept digging. And I don't even, like I said, I just stumbled upon Joey's Legacy on Facebook by just trying to Google, trying to find any attorney associated with them, reading other people's, how their point A to point B went, like, what did they do? I started gathering as much information as I could, pulling up old news stories in Wisconsin, maybe trying to find those people and seeing if they could talk to me about their case. Going to the courthouse and pulling up old records from within the state to see, and then just generally outsourcing Midwest cases and just kind of seeing. I have, a huge file of just random stuff. I would just tell people to make sure to get as much information as you can, categorize it, put it in a binder, keep it organized so you can just get it out for your attorney or for your records to go back, as hard as it will be to look through it, keep all your bills, all that sort of thing. And just, like I said, it was just randomly Googling, without the internet, I don't know what we would do now. It's hard to think you go back to the library to pull the Dewey Decimal System on books and stuff, people don't take it for granted, the internet. So yeah, I'm still looking, I'm still, reaching out to people, but, hopefully, like I said, at least I can get a court date, and they're going to have to come into court and, by now they forgot about it. I think the vet, in one of his correspondence within the attorney to the correspondence somewhere along the way, he was alluding to the fact that the vet thought we had settled, which obviously never even happened. So it's funny to see what the vet hears from his insurance company versus what was actually happening. So they're probably long gone thinking that this is a done deal. Well, guess what? The sheriff is going to be coming knocking and getting them served. And then it's all going to be coming back to them what happened. So that's my goal.
So we have to make sure we never let them forget. I sent Joey's vet. It wasn't even his real vet, his regular vet, who I wish was there that morning. Unfortunately, he wasn't. But I'll be sending the Bad Vet, Volume 2, with my special message on the inside cover, as I did when Jerry's Volume 1 was released. And I plan on, communicating with him in my own special way every year, at least once or twice, to keep reminding him of how he affected many lives. It's not just me, it's my wife, daughters, friends that knew Joey. It's not just one person. So, and I suggest every victim of a bad actor does the same. You don't want to we'll never forget, and we really don't want them to ever forget either.
Totally agree.
Yeah. So, do you have anything you want to say in closing?
I just want to tell people to keep fighting. I know every day it's a struggle trying to figure out what to do next. And it's hard. Like I said, I'm not going to admit I've been putting this off because I didn't want to deal with it. But now it's game time and I got to get going on it. But
good.
That's all I can say is people tell your stories. There's other ones out there that can relate to it and not give you, oh, you're crazy, get over it type situation. They can relate and help you through it.
These are probably people that are not animal lovers. They've never owned an animal, or they've never had an animal live with them, or something. Because I can't imagine a passionate animal advocate ever saying that to anybody. They would understand what you're going through, the grief that you deal with. And I'd be hard pressed to believe that someone who's a true animal advocate would be that insensitive, but maybe, So, Colleen, you have anything you want to say to?
I mean, I hate hearing these stories, but thank you for coming on and telling us
Brittany.
about Harper. I mean, you're fighting that fight, but you have a whole community here to help support you, and together we can make a difference. So thank you for your part.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, maybe we'll talk tomorrow. I'll send you my phone number. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Brittany.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.